Welcome back to Books with Beck. I'm Beck. Let's talk books. All right, we're starting off our weekend of reading with Somewhere Beyond the Sea. This is the sequel. It just came out on September 10th. This book follows House on the Cerulean Sea, which I did rate 5 stars. Yay! This was probably my favorite book that I've read this entire year, so I have really, really high hopes for the sequel. House on the Cerulean Sea follows a agent of Daikomi, which is like the Department of Magical Children and Youth. Yeah. So he works for them and he goes to check out this orphanage, which is for magical children. And at this orphanage, there's all these different kids. I think there's 5 total. It's been a while. I may have to go do a refresh. And all of them have really unique personalities and are just really great kids that are just magical. So one of them, for example, is the main one that they're focused on, and that is Lucifer. He is the devil's child. So that one, it kind of like makes you get this whole found family aspect, and it's very, very cute. It feels like and reads like YA, and it's just such an amazing story. Very cozy. In that, the orphanage manager, owner, whatever, is Arthur Parnassus. And when you're reading the story, you find out some information about his backstory. So I did start looking at the first couple pages of this book, and it looks like it's going to give us the original story of Arthur Parnassus. So I'm really, really hoping that that's what this is. I can't tell you too much more about House on the Cerulean Sea without spoiling it. I do encourage everyone to read it. Best book I've read this year. But this is definitely a flashback. It's starting much farther back in time. So I'm interested to see if this is going to be more of his history or if it's just going to do that for the first little bit and then switch back to present day. So I'm not 100% sure. It's very short though. So I think that this will be an easy one to get through in just a day. Right now I'm at the 32% mark. I've just gotten distracted. I've had things going on, so I haven't been reading. But it's very, very good right now. So I know when I spoke to you last, I talked about how it was starting with a flashback. That was just the prologue. So we're back in present day now. There is amazing dialogue from the children, and it is just it's so tender and so sweet. So that's been really nice. Currently, I am at 38% in Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and I am loving it. I don't know if I love it as much as the original book, but honestly, I think it's a very good sequel. You know, a lot of times sequels kind of just drop off and they're not very good. This is a very good sequel. Like I said, it feels like YA, so the dialogue in it is just so cozy and funny, and I'm giggling on every page. The characters are super lovable, so it's an easy story to read. With that, I don't really have any rush to get done with this book because once I'm done with it, I'm done with it. And I love this world and I want to stay in it. So I'm in no rush. The newest character that was mentioned at the end of the first book, we got to meet him. I think he's great. He reminds me of what I think my husband would be like as a little kid. He's very theatrical and dramatic and stubborn. And it's very, very funny to read. There's at one point in the book where he is dressed up because he's a Yeti. There is at one point in the book where he's dressed up as an adult, like he's wearing a little trench coat and a hat and sunglasses. And the train conductor comes up to like punch his ticket, and he's looking at the adults and everything. And the little boy, the little Yeti, he says, "Oh, and I'm definitely not being kidnapped because I'm an adult and I do adult things like pay taxes and." I can't remember the other thing he says. He's like, pay taxes and go to work and be sad for no reason at all. And it's just so funny. Like, these kids have no filter and they just say whatever pops into their mind. But they're such lovable, like, people. So it's very cute. I'm reading it very slow. I hope that I finish it before I go to work. But if I don't, I don't. I'm really enjoying reading this book. So I'm in no rush. I just want to enjoy it as I have it. This story does have a lot of really amazing LGBTQ storylines as well. So that's been nice because, of course, they're done in a really good way. The author did it intentionally, and yeah, it's been really enjoyable to read. So overall, I feel a 5-star book coming. I can feel the itch. I can feel it. Right now, I'm at like the 75% mark, and I'm still loving it. I have been dragging this book out for almost a week now. I started this on Saturday, and it is Wednesday. So I just don't want the story to end. I just don't want to leave this world. I love these characters so much, and I don't know how long it's going to be until I get a next one, or if I'm going to get a next one. Right now, I actually do not know if this is going to stay a duology or if he's planning on expanding the series. Fingers crossed, but I don't know. So I just don't want the book to end. I know the ending is going to be a happy ending. I can kind of tell by how the story is going, but you know, you never know. Sometimes they'll throw a twist in there for you. They are at a major turning point in the plot right now, so I am excited to start reading tonight. My goal is to finish tonight. I put it off too long. I need to finish it. I need to just find out what's going to happen, and then I can move on to other books. I have been listening to other books and reading other books as I've read this, so it's not like this is the only thing I'm reading, but I need to move on, so it's time to let it go. This book has been a ton of character development for Arthur Parnassus, which is the main guardian of the children, and I just love his character. The first book really gives us a lot about Linus, and I really enjoyed his character, but I'm not near as attached to him as I am now to Arthur. I'm not missing Linus in this book. Like, I'm like, okay, hey, there's a little peek of Linus. Here's a peek of Linus here. Like, he's mixed in there, but I'm not like missing him. He was a great character, but Arthur is an amazing character, and I just love this character so much. He's very protective of the children and has just a really tender heart because of everything that he's gone through. So I don't want it to end, but it is ending. I have to finish it. So that is my plan tonight, is to go ahead and wrap it up, and I'll let you know what I think. Okay, last night I finished the book finally, and I'm not even kidding. Like, I finished the book, and as soon as I said, wow, I'm done, my Kindle died. So it was perfect timing. I loved this book. Easily 5 stars. Which I think was to be expected because I rated The House on the Cerulean Sea 5 stars. So Somewhere Beyond the Sea had to also be 5 stars. But a lot of times sequels do not live up to the hype, and this one just did. I honestly think I loved it just as much as the original. For me, I loved Arthur's character development far more than I did Linus in the first book. So overall, I'm just really, really happy. I'm really sad that this story is over. Based on how it ended, I don't think that we're getting another one, but I would be more than happy if he blessed us with another book. I think this book is a great recommendation. I definitely feel like this is one of those that could get you back into reading, because it just feels like those books that we read as children that were just so magical and happy. And even though there was high stakes, it didn't stress you out. It's just a great, cozy book, both of them. And if you have not read House on the Cerulean Sea, I highly, highly suggest it. I'm just over the moon with this book. There's a lot of LGBTQ storylines, so if you're someone who doesn't mess with that, you probably shouldn't watch my channel anyways. But it was just done in such a great way, and it was seamless, it was just into the story, and it wasn't like he was just doing it to sell books. Like, he genuinely has love for the community, and it was shown throughout the books, and it was really, really a pleasure to read. The characters make this book. The children make this book. I kept reading my husband pieces of the dialogue, and he was like, is it really this funny? Is it this funny all the time? And I was like, yes, it is this funny. It's just quippy, little humor. And I think because I work with kids, I'm able to appreciate it a little bit more, because I really got connected to these kids, and I'm so attached to these characters. I have not read any other TJ Klune books, so I'm willing to read more. I'm going to do a little bit of research and see if there are more by him, because I love the way he writes. This book, I feel like, is just a good fantasy introduction as well. If you've never read any fantasy and you kind of want to get started in it, this is like the least fantasy book I've ever read. Like, I don't know. It was very, very low key. Sometimes I would even forget that the children were not like real human children. Like I would forget. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, Chauncey's a blob. Like, okay. Or like some sort of like sea cucumber thing. Like I had to remind myself because they're just so personable. And so it was kind of a unique story in that regard. But yes, I recommend this. 10 out of 10, amazing, beautiful, best book. And honestly, I definitely think this could be a YA book. I think that honestly, they didn't put it in YA just so they could put a little bit more language in there and keep those LGBTQ storylines without having a lot of pushback. And I think I would probably let my like 13-year-old, 14-year-old read it as long as they know, like, you know, obviously don't repeat the language. But yeah, it was still a very family-friendly like plot line, if that makes sense. Yeah, it was, I could talk all day about this book, but I'm not going to. It was amazing. If you have not read it, go read it. 5 stars, amazing. All right, we're headed to Barnes & Noble right now. Our hope is that we find both hardcovers for House on the Cerulean Sea and Somewhere Beyond the Sea, because for some reason I never bought it and it's not sold in Targets or Walmart. So I'm gonna go into Barnes & Noble and hopefully they have both copies. Listen, if you've watched even one of my videos, you know I thrift like all of my books. I do not pay more than $10 per book because I just can't afford to. In this economy, like, absolutely not. I love this series so much that I went to Barnes & Noble, of all places. I never buy books from Barnes & Noble. And I bought the hardcover of both books of the series. But look how pretty they are. And then look, sprayed edges. So I am kind of regretting my decision, but I'm just reminding myself that I would never have found perfect condition sprayed edges hardcovers anywhere else. Sometimes you have to pay for what you want. Am I going to probably lose sleep over buying these books? Yes. However, I never pay full price for books, and so if I really want something, like, I'm going to get it. If I'm genuinely like, I want those books, I'm going to get it. They bring me joy. It is what it is. Look how great the covers are. I'm so excited. This series, let me see. Let me see. This series is life-changing.